While everyone else runs away in fear, bored Kim Hyun-woo has already beaten the tower boss so many times he just wants to play again. He knocks the boss down in seconds with just one foot, laughs at him, and demands to know who really has the most manhood, but Hyun-woo feels no joy because he has to go back to the very first level of the tower. Everything began one day when monsters showed up all over the world, and with them came a giant tower where humans could get superpowers and fight back, but only if they could survive all 100 floors. On average, fewer than 10 out of every 100 players ever make it through. Hyun-woo and his brave friends were among the first to dive into the tower, and once the final fight was over, our heroes finally got the news they had been waiting for. You have finally finished the tutorial tower. Everyone is thrilled because they know they are finally going to go home. After spending so long trapped inside the tower, Kim Hyun-woo finally craves a glimpse of the sky, but fate has other plans and zips him straight back to the first floor. He stands frozen in shock, confused by why he is stuck here while everyone else has finally gone free. Just then, a message arrives: the tower has cursed him, and he can never leave. After some time spent in denial and anger, Hyun-woo begins climbing the tower over and over again. He begins to look for ways to break free. He climbs the tower all by himself from the very top all the way down to the bottom. Then he wipes it away 10 times in a row without stopping. He pushed his body to the absolute limit, yet even after all that, nothing worked and he remained trapped. Hyun-woo keeps climbing the tower again and again, searching for a way to break the curse. Years go by as he spends his life inside this place, scrubbing it clean over and over again. While new players take months to finish the tower, our boy can clear it in a day or even a few hours, and once he gets bored of that, he starts acting like a guide or a coach, or even playing tricks on the final boss, only to get bored again, so Hyun-woo keeps clearing the tower all by himself and pushing his skills to their absolute limits. He reaches a point where one single kick on the first floor can blast him right through 10. After 12 long years stuck in the tower, he finally receives a system notification. He finally broke the endless cycle and found a way to run free from the tower. With a wild, crazy laugh, he leaps forward to clear the tower one last time. He blasts straight up like a rocket, smashing through the floors as he goes. Now he's the true master of the tower. Even the monsters are scared of him. After Hyun-woo blasts the rooftop boss and tears the tower's top away, he steps through the glowing portal that launches him out into the open air. He is so overjoyed that he screams with pure delight. While officials in the tower are stunned to learn that a player from the very first group has finally escaped after 12 years, they soon invite our boy to take their upcoming test for new hunters who have just cleared the tower. His former squad members, the same ones who climbed the tower with him back in the day, are among the guild leaders hosting this trial. Everyone can't wait to see the monster Hyun-woo has become after 12 years trapped inside the tower. In the waiting room for the grade test, everyone is already sitting there with their basic gear ready to go. Meanwhile, our boy is busy munching on snacks. Once his stomach is finally full, he finally notices the strange equipment and realizes with a start that he forgot to grab any of it because he fell asleep while the others were getting theirs in the morning. Right then, the announcement tells the soon-to-be hunters to leave the waiting room and head to where the test will happen. Now at the Seoul Tutorial Center's grade evaluation maze, A-grade hunter David welcomes the junior hunters, announcing that the test has started and he will be their supervisor as the world watches. With a grin, he tells them not to worry since the exam is easy compared to the tower, and while he eagerly awaits their potential to risk their lives, Hyun-woo is just yawning and completely ignoring him. Right then, the supervisor declares that the first exam has officially begun. Right then, he taps his phone and the ground starts shaking, but David says hunters face many tough tests, especially mazes, and just as he speaks, giant metal rods drop from above to build a deadly one. David tells the hunters that the maze is full of traps, so they should use all their special powers to get through safely. Suddenly, a 30-second timer starts ticking down to launch the exam, forcing the hunters to use their powers to escape the maze before time runs out. As the countdown finishes, the hunters storm toward the exit, making their supervisor smile with pride at their good manners while remembering his own old exams and wishing they'd never forget their original purpose, all while the hero stays behind at the start, casually addressing him as "Uncle," to ask if he truly must reach the finish line. David frowned at our boy's ragged look and missing gear, then got startled when he saw Hyun-woo yawning, and the supervisor even asked if he thought the hunt exams were just a joke. With a smirking grin, Hyun-woo emphasizes the word "uncle" and challenges the supervisor to act that way in front of the noisy guy who is trying his hardest to run, which makes David furious while the hero happily makes a bet with him. He'll wipe out the whole mess in just 20 seconds, and if he does, he'll walk away with 100,000 won. David is shocked by the words, but his pride makes him agree and admit that he earns 1,000,001 a day as a supervisor with overtime. Rushing to the entrance, the hero warns David not to regret his choice, and as Hyunwoo touches the wall in shock at the supervisor's high pay, he gathers his strength while everyone from David to the top guild leaders watches in confusion from the screens. Before they could figure it out, the hero punched the wall so hard it blew a hole right through the maze, filling the place with thick smoke, but within seconds, he was already standing at the exit on the other side, proving that even when forced open, the only way forward is through. While the crowd goes wild and even the top Korean guild leaders are shocked and annoyed by his stubbornness, Hyunwoo is overjoyed at winning 1,000,000 but panics when he looks back at the mess he made and worries about paying for the damages. Just before the hunter competition, Junsung checks the contestant list at the office while her colleague worries about the gossip surrounding a mysterious advanced hunter, only to learn that another competitor, a backup hunter from the martial arts world, will also be there. Since they weren't sure if the advanced hunter would show up, they kept the traditional martial artist Kang Hyun ready as a backup. Kang Hyun is so full of skills that luck always seems to work in his favor. Using his weapon, he swiftly sends the dangerous beasts crashing down. From the very beginning, Kang Hyun got all the glory and respect because he was always winning, but he thought that was it until he bumped into Hyunwoo while trying to climb the tutorial tower one last time to get out of this hole. Kang made it back safe, but he knew how pitiful he had looked. Our boy was so wild and desperate to get out that he pushed everyone, including Kang Hyun, out of his way. Back in the present, Kang passed his first test and everyone was told to stay in the waiting room for further notice, while curious onlookers in the observation room watched to see how he tore the place apart, only to find that whenever the authorities finally got a clear view, it was always Lee Kang in the picture. While hunters chatted nervously in the waiting room about rumors that an advanced player had already finished, Kang Hyun sat quietly, determined not to lose to the sleepy-looking Hyunwoo who seemed too tired to be anything but high. Suddenly, an announcement echoed through the room, changing the day's ranking contest rules and giving everyone 15 minutes to prepare for a monster wave battle where junior hunters would use special virtual training monsters powered by spirit stones and new tech to see who could defeat the most creatures. Kang, a highly skilled hunter, stepped up to the challenge and effortlessly smashed through the virtual monsters by infusing his weapon with bolting light, striking them down with incredible focus. Everyone stares in shock because this guy just crawled out of the tower and suddenly has magic powers. They all sense that a genius is right before them, and everything feels like a dream. Without pausing, this warrior unleashes a flowing stream of electricity to blast away every monster that tries to block his path. As the clock ticks forward, the announcement breaks the silence. Kang has taken down 78 monsters, setting a new record that no test-taker has ever matched. Kang beams with pride as everyone marvels at his fighting and magic skills, convinced he truly lives up to his reputation as a top pick, with many thinking he would have won outright if the advanced player hadn't intervened, but now it's our boy's turn to fight the monster wave while Hyunwoo yawns and complains about being tired, though he has no choice but to keep going. Guild leader Seo Kwan-han invites the other two leaders to watch, eager to see how Hyunwoo's fighting style has changed. As soon as Hyunwoo stepped into the exam room, the clock hit 120 seconds and the test started right then. As the 10-second countdown finishes and the giant beast lifts its hammer to strike our boy, Hyunwoo stands his ground and punches the monster straight out. When everyone sees this, their jaws drop as the officials confirm the cameraman got a perfect shot because it truly feels like a movie. As soon as the other monsters get angry and charge at our boy, screaming in fury, he knocks them all out with the same move he used before, so not a single hair on his head gets hurt. With only 56 seconds left, the advanced player vanished as the monsters' heads exploded on their own, leaving everyone to wonder if this was a magic spell. Seo Kwan isn't fooled by magic because if they look closely, they can see a person's shadow darting around the monsters at light speed. Hyunwoo dashes right at the monster, throws a punch, and knocks it out. Just like that, he spots a new target and does the same thing all over again. Our kid isn't even using any fancy tricks, but he moves so fast that the monsters look like they're exploding all by themselves. Seo Yun Lee stands in awe, wondering if such moves are possible without powers, while Sher Hyun Kim looks confused about what the hero has been doing up in the tower. Whenever Si Hyun heard the gossip, he just turned a deaf ear, but seeing Hyunwoo in person showed everyone he had truly become a monster. After a full 2 minutes, the announcer begins to stumble over his words. As soon as Hyunwoo announces he killed 248 monsters, the news explodes across the internet, leaving some doubting if it's real, others amazed, and a few just jealous, turning social media into total chaos. Overwhelmed by the endless negative posts, Kang snaps his phone in half, then punches a wall so hard it cracks, shouting that he worked while others slacked off and even stole their kills, knowing it would make people hate him. He resorted to every cheap trick in the book and fought so hard that he simply couldn't accept the reality of Hyunwoo becoming a worldwide sensation. Pressing forward, Alice, the head of the Korean Hunter Association's info team, meets the protagonist and hands him the list of guilds eager to talk to him. With that, Alice gives our boy a huge cheer for finally climbing out of the tower after 12 long years. She tells the hero that things have changed since the tower appeared, warning that the monsters in the labyrinths and dungeons are terrifying, but the rewards for taking such risks are even greater. While the Hunters Guild dangles big rewards to lure in skilled hunters, Hyunwoo ignores their shouts to focus entirely on figuring out what he's going to eat next. Alice, thinking our boy is confused, doesn't know that the protagonist is just asking if explaining everything is really her job. Alice gives him a warm smile and admits she came here for her own reasons. She wanted to meet the legendary player everyone was talking about, share the new guild contract about member rights, and urge her friend to read the clause about the massive signing bonus, which made Hyunwoo sweat as he looked at Alice. Meanwhile, the woman asks the boy how he would feel to hold a contract worth 10 billion won. Hyunwoo stared at Alice, confused by the sudden drop in money and wondering if his country had gone crazy like Zimbabwe, but Alice quickly explained that monsters were the real problem, not the cash, though she did note that the price of the place he lived had just gone up. Right then, she hands him the details, and Hyunwoo's eyes go wide as he realizes his house value jumped from 3 million won to 1.3 billion won, but his worried, sickened look tells Alice he's stressed about money, so she assures him not to worry since the 10 billion won is just a signing bonus, and the officer adds that Ares Guild will double that bonus if he renews his contract at the end. Unbelievable words make the hero's face go pale, but Alice keeps talking about how he can share his loot from the labyrinth with the guild, promising him a generous cut, while Hyunwoo grins and asks if signing guild contracts is also her job. Alice confesses that the Ares Guild recruiter told her to share her personal connections with Hyunwoo, but deep down she remembers that making deals with people still under the association's care is a crime. Just as Alice tries to tell him to take his time deciding, Hyunwoo cuts her off to say he's already made up his mind and never planned to join a guild because none of them ever interested him. At first, the information officer thinks the hero is just joking, but Hyunwoo is serious about not wanting to get tied down by a guild's work, knowing full well that 10 billion won is never free and comes with a heavy price. With his stomach full of snacks, Hyunwoo chuckles from his bed, loving the freedom of living by his own rules. While relaxing, he gets a sudden memory of Alice asking him if he's really not interested in being a hunter. Hyunwoo tells us he's heard stories about hunters who go it alone. After hearing that, the information officer realizes the other guy is talking about mercenary hunters, but warns that since those veterans are experienced, a newbie like him can't just go into a labyrinth alone. Hyunwoo turned to go with a proud smile, promising her that he would make it happen. Alice calls him arrogant and warns him to remember to call her once he changes his mind. After realizing that meeting Alice was a waste of time and leaving him too annoyed to sleep, Hyunwoo scrolls through a list of guilds only to get shocked when he sees that the top 3 guild leaders in South Korea are among them. 5 days later, right before the new hunter's protection period ends, our boy runs into Seo Kwon, Seo Yun, and Hyun at a Japanese restaurant in Mokdong. It's been so long that the hero is completely shocked to see them all grown up. To him, Seo Kwon seems like a grown-up man while the high school nerd Hyun has transformed into a handsome guy. Meanwhile, Seo Yun has changed completely. As Hyun stood there, he remembered how he used to hide behind Seo Yun all the way to the 50th floor, even while she got scared silly by a banshee, but now she's fierce and telling him to shut up or else. Hyunwoo happily eats sushi and admits he's glad to meet them, remembering how he once went crazy talking about missing this food after they defeated the merman on the 17th floor, a time when he was so excited that even when stories about him spread, his friends were just relieved to find he was still alive. Unaware of everything, Hyunwoo leans in to ask for the details. So they say our guy is now a superstar, and everything he did in the tower made the news on TV. As the sweat rolls down Hyunwoo's face in embarrassment, he realizes everyone has seen his secret role-playing, and he desperately hopes they aren't watching the footage of him clearing the dungeon naked or pretending to be a golem. Even though the guild bosses told him, the most famous legend started when he went around smashing bosses and kicking his way through 10 floors while doing a silly dance. While Hyunwoo feels a bit better hearing this, Hyun can't help but wonder exactly what his friend was doing up in that tower. Hyunwoo remembers dancing right in front of the big scary monster. Even the monster stood frozen in shock, but our brave boy just kept trying to break free, so when he hit the 10th floor and felt too frustrated to climb, he simply jumped as high as he could and ended up right there. Seo Yun admits that watching him during the assessment made her realize just how much power he has gained, and after hearing his stories directly, there is no doubt about it, though Hyunwoo believes anyone could have done it because when someone is trapped, they will do anything to get out, but then the hero realizes his students must have found a way to escape as well. Though he didn't know their generation, Hyunwoo sensed a presence between floors 50 and 60, searched the dark, and found a kid left behind in the tower. Using his role-playing skills, he decided to guide the lost soul and took the kid under his wing to train him in martial arts. At first, Seo Kwon was puzzled, so the protagonist explained that he meant getting trapped somewhere and then breaking free with the kind of magic seen in comics and novels. Hyunwoo hoped that if he could find his way, he might finally be free. Because of that, he spent every moment pushing him harder than ever before, testing his limits until they broke. The protagonist made the guy work out, mocked him for stopping, and told him to focus his mind on his lower belly to tap into inner energy, but since Hyunwoo only knew about raw strength, he now feels bad for that poor guy. Hyunwoo didn't show it, but he used to be such a jerk that he's actually glad he wore a mask all that time so he won't have to run into that guy again. Just then, the hero turns to the 3 top guild leaders and asks how the world has changed over the last 12 years. The moment the questions are asked, the whole room goes quiet. Back at home, Hyunwoo looks at his status window and sees his age listed as 24 instead of 36, realizing he has somehow lost 12 years in this new world. Since that's done and can't be undone, our boy resolves to make enough cash to live happily with no regrets. Curious about the floating message that a never-ending loop was finally gone, Hyunwoo clicks it and instantly gets a challenge. He must defeat at least 3 dungeon bosses to unlock the next level. To conquer the dungeon, you must raid Adorb's laboratory, Woodland Village, and Swamp View. Before Hyunwoo could make sense of the chaos, he heard a knock on his door. As the guard opens the door, he tells our boy that recruiters from the Ares Guild are here to meet him. Uninterested at first, the hero turns down the guard, but the guard's worried plea to follow him after the recruiter told him to bring Hyunwoo convinces him that these men won't stop until they speak with him, so he makes his way to the lounge on the first floor where they are waiting. Byung-ho Kong, the Ares Guild's HR manager, greets our hero, only for him to bluntly state he has no interest in joining, sparking a challenge from the manager who questions if he truly believes he can succeed as a hunter without the guild. Byung-ho tries to lure him in by listing all the rewards he'd gain if he joins the guild. Without fear, the hero tells the manager to stop threatening him, only to be interrupted by an angry bodyguard behind Byung-ho, which Byung-ho quickly silences by warning Hyunwoo not to make a mistake against the powerful Ares Guild, as he smirks and admits they are just jerks who took over half of Korea. Suddenly, Hyunwoo flashes back to a meeting with South Korea's top 3 guild leaders, who warn him that the Ares Guild controls more than 2/3 of the country's dungeons. They've heard that these dungeons, ranging from easy D ranks for beginners to high-value A ranks for farming, are owned by wealthy foreign investors who force everyone to buy expensive tickets or join the exclusive Ares Guild because the locals have no other choice. Just as he was lost in thought, the bodyguard slammed his hand down so hard that the force burst into a blinding flash of energy that filled the whole room. Just then, Byung-ho snaps, telling our hero to shut up at the association's place and really think before he speaks, while the bald bodyguard slams his fist from the table to the wall and the resources manager warns Hyunwoo that this powerhouse is an elite A hunter, so any rash move will just get our hero killed instantly. With a smug grin and a satisfied sigh, our boy stands up, lifts his slipper, and dares the bald man to come closer so he can teach his head some serious lessons. The Hulk's anger turns him into a raging beast who charges forward, only to get slammed into a wall in seconds and left trapped, causing Byung-ho to remember that they had planned a fake-out script to scare him into signing the contract, but things went terribly wrong. Standing there, the resources manager is stunned that Hyunwoo can't cast a single spell, yet he is still stronger than anyone else. With a sneaky grin, our hero steps up to corner Byung-ho, then whacks him with his torn slipper to show just how much he hates bullies who threaten him. That night at Hyun's home, Hyunwoo pours the tea, and while the guild leader is impressed, he's also taken aback by how relentless the Ares guys are, since nobody dares to challenge them. Hyun warns that the protagonist is being threatened to stop him from joining any other guilds. While munching on strawberries deep inside the labyrinth, Hyunwoo wonders what it truly means to be silenced. Hyun says they will kill him, which makes the hero feel uneasy, so the guild leader suggests he join them, but Hyunwoo still refuses to be part of any guild. Even though he wanted to relax, he had to deal with something urgent, so he paused everything and, grinning, asked Hyun if he'd heard of Acheron's lab, since for 12 years Hyunwoo had been left behind in this mysterious tower, wondering who built it and who locked him up. And what else could it be? His goal is to uncover the tower's secret and the person who trapped him, so that once he finds the truth, he can make them suffer, while Shurhyun remains puzzled by Hyunwoo's sudden interest in Ajiron's lab. Shurhyun dropped some secrets, telling us that Ajiron's lab in Wujongbu is either a dangerous AC dungeon or a slightly weaker AC-1, and he'd heard it's the perfect spot for new hunters to get really strong. Shurhyun questions why our boy is there, but he only claims to have business to attend to, so Shurhyun warns him that the Ares Guild is misusing its exclusive rights to the dungeons like Aduron, meaning our hero likely won't get inside. Hyunwoo snaps at the thugs over the lack of laws against monopolies, but the guild leader reminds him that the government ignores them since hunters don't even have a voice in voting. Only a few make it past the tutorial tower to become one, because the dungeons are so deadly that even the police can't safely investigate, often calling those gruesome deaths simple accidents. Hyunwoo thinks it's all nonsense, but on the outside, Ares runs a booming industry that pays taxes and handles dangerous hunter situations where outsiders can't get involved. Now, the hero chooses to slip into the shadows, but if guards are watching, he'll step right out and face them. Shurhyun warns him that messing up will make Ares his enemy, but it's too late for that now since our hero has already shown his true colors to the guild's boss. While that's one side of the story, Seonu Hook, an elite S-rank hunter and boss of the Korean Ares Guild branch, is also busy talking about making the guild even bigger. In China, the wait will stretch for at least 5 months, while Russia demands 8, and Japan sits right in between at 7. Seonu doesn't mind if it takes time, as long as they stay one step ahead of everyone else. Just as a farming beast only needs to be quicker than its neighbor and not the dungeon boss, the manager's team used Hyunwoo's tutorial footage and a special scanner to estimate his level, with HR head Byungyu noting the guess was so close it could be off by just 1 grade, while Seonu realizes they haven't hired him because the others look too hesitant to say yes. In that moment, he declares that they are better off without him, admitting that while the guy is talented and could bring great profits alongside Hyunwoo, he would only threaten their own positions, so they should forget trying to hire him and instead teach him some manners. Right then, a man sprints toward Byungyu, gasping for breath to tell him there's an emergency at the Aduron lab in Wujongbu. At the entrance to the C-rank dungeon of Ajiron's lab, a girl flirts with the guards to get in, but the thugs mock her and warn her to head to the labyrinth instead, only to turn on our hero the moment he arrives, threatening him to leave because they claim the place is filled with real monsters. As our boy steps closer to the thugs, he tells them this is exactly why he's here. He's got some business to handle inside the dungeon, and the Ares Guild thug thinks he's crazy for calling him an idiot. Hyunwoo quietly picks up his slipper to teach the rude players a lesson, smiling as he steps closer to one who tries to warn him about his power, but ignoring the threat, Hyunwoo simply smacks him with the slipper, sending the man flying straight into the wall. When he sees his friend lying out cold, the other fighter starts to panic. Our hero asks the other guy for his shoes. The man freezes in fear as Hyun threatens to open his eyes, so the trembling man agrees, and the moment he puts on the new shoes, he's shocked by how light they feel. The Ares Guild player sobbed over his lost magic shoes, but our kind hero simply slipped on his own slippers for the barefoot man before walking away. Our hero strolls through the gate leaving the Ares thugs in tears, while Seo-yun panics at Shurhyun for letting him go so easily, only for him to explain that since Hyunwoo walked out freely, no one can stop him now. Seo-yun is stunned into silence and questions Shurhyun about our hero's conflict with the Ares Guild, while Shurhyun, convinced by the hero's own words, knows the rivalry is real. Shurhyun knows Hyunwoo won't get into trouble just by standing still, but once he becomes an enemy, his dark side will come out. Shurhyun doesn't get how things got this messy, but he tells Seo-yun not to worry about our hero since his Ares Guild ranking was already mentioned, leaving Seo-yun dumbfounded when she hears the rank, while our hero keeps moving through the dungeon until a C-rank boss named Aduron starts hunting for his research samples. From afar, a group of fighters whispered about the rumor that no one gets paid well to fight Aduron, making the Ares Guild skip him, and they began wondering if stepping up to challenge the boss was really worth it. Knowing they slipped in by bribery, one suggests fighting the boss, but the girl worries their skills can't match a powerful lab leader unless they fight as a team, so the other guy points out the boss's high defense and low attack, proposing they take their time to win. Armed with a solid plan, the team moves in together to challenge the boss, ready to flee if things turn dangerous, and in that moment, they watch our hero step forward to face Aduron while Hyunwoo stands tall before the lab leader without a shred of fear. Aduron bursts into laughter as he tries to figure out where to begin with his research, so he decides to ask our hero for help instead. 12 years ago, when our hero was still young, his cousin scolded him for causing trouble and told him to listen to his teacher, but after an accident killed their parents, the cousin abandoned little Hyunwoo at an orphanage and took all his money. Maybe Hyunwoo is fine until someone tries to twist his heart, and that's because he's tired of how people let him down. Once you become his enemy, he will show his worst side and hold a grudge for a very long time. Aduron giggles and fiddles with his needle, asking where to begin, but Hyunwoo snaps at him to stop, shocking the lab boss until Hyunwoo punches the monster, leaving everyone stunned as the hero struts away like a boss, ready to head to the forest village next. The hunters hiding in the shadows tremble with excitement as they recognize Hyunwoo, the legendary player standing before them, while at the Aries Guild office, an HR manager rushes to Woo Chun-myung to hand over a file and ask if Hyuk Sunwoo has any new orders. The manager reads the file and spots the 2A rank stats for the rookie hunter, making him wonder if they're really true. The HR person explains that the results aren't quite right yet and are only a temporary check. Even then, Chun-myung is blown away by our hero's monster-level stats, while the manager learns the HR wants to only moderately hurt Hyunwoo but admits more damage is fine since the hero already jumped into their exclusive dungeon and attacked the hunters guarding it. Chun-myung tells his boss that our hero won't hurt the other guild at all, but he wants to handle it quietly since the branch manager is already overwhelmed with the big move to China, and even the top leaders are backing this up because of the Tyrant Guild. In just 2 years, the new Tyrant Guild in China has hoarded control over more than half of all the dangerous dungeons there. Just 4 years after leaving the tower, their guild leader turned their group into a massive organization where every leader is incredibly powerful, yet the world still doesn't know who the mysterious 5th-ranked boss of the Tyrant Guild really is. Chun-myung tells the HR manager not to worry about Hyunwoo, promising they'll send experts to deal some moderate damage since they can't waste manpower fighting the Tyrant Guild, while Hyunwoo marvels at the phone's camera, snaps a picture of his friend, and starts playing with the device. Hyun gets annoyed to see our hero playing with the phone we gave him, but then he explains that the forest village is actually run by the Soul Guild. Our hero keeps playing on his phone, ignoring his friend until the friend finally says there's no monster at the forest village. Hyun tells our hero that things work differently here than in the tutorial tower, where monsters reset every day, but in this endless dungeon the little creatures never stop appearing even after being defeated, while the big boss takes a whole month to return, yet since they killed him 4 weeks ago, he'll be back in just a couple more days. After Hyunwoo grumbles about needing to clear so many hurdles just to kill a monster, Hyun excitedly tells him he can earn millions by registering as a hunter, though he warns that reaching the top ranks will take a few months of hard work. After learning Hyun earns 7 million every month, our hero is shocked and rushes to sign up. The next morning, he heads straight to the Hunters Association Evaluation Center, and when he gives his name, the receptionist recognizes him as the man who was trapped in the tower for 12 years. He remembers everyone who walked in just to talk about our hero. But the receptionist just doesn't get it, seeing our hero as totally normal while everyone else thinks something amazing is happening. After making sure everything was ready, he pointed Hyunwoo toward the eye of the seeker. A glowing hologram flickers by his eye, revealing Hyunwoo's hunter rank. He touches his eye, gets a weak B+ guess from the receptionist, but his jaw drops when the real score is shown. When his face turns pale, our hero stares at the hologram in shock, only to be drowned out by the receptionist screaming across the building and soon becoming the center of news stories about his unbelievable test results. People whisper about how he gets all A's and how no one else in the world has ever matched his perfect score. Hyunwoo stared at his phone, shocked to see news about his evaluation already spreading across the world in just a few hours. Hyun says that since he flipped the whole Aries Guild dungeon upside down, everyone is now watching how the top players react to the big news. Hyun warns our hero that the powerful Aries Guild won't stop hunting him after he crossed their line, but he laughs it off while staring at a funny picture on his phone. He laughs at the silly pose and the weird aura effect in the hunter's photo. But then Hyun calmly admits the hunter in the photo is him, and an awkward silence fills the room before our hero asks why his friend is always around him while everyone else stays busy. Hyun says he's busy but makes time to see our hero, while down in the Aries Guild basement, an HR worker turns pale when looking at our hero's results. Now Chun-myung finally sees why the branch manager pushed them to fight our hero. Seeing the HR man turn pale, he promises that Hyunwoo will be taken care of by the Shinchon gang, which instantly cheers the HR man up and makes him feel confident that his problem is solved. While back in the village forest, our hero is confused to find no guards at the dungeon until Hyun reveals that the place belongs to his guild. Just as the clock hits 12 and the boss is about to appear, our hero and friends rush inside, but they quickly spot another man watching them from afar. In the village forest dungeon, a fresh face named Park Jae-moon steps in to join our hero. Hyun tells us that Park has come to grab the treasure so they can sell it for cash. Hyunwoo is stunned to find out the loot can be sold for millions, and he can't fathom why anyone would want such valuable items. Hyun knows he won't get it, so he explains that those loot items are just parts to build armor or weapons. Park hits record to catch our hero's adventure and gets a quick nod of approval. Hyun has no issue with it, yet he asks why they are recording. Hyun-woo is shocked to realize the videos earn money from ads, so he jumps in with an 8-2 partnership. As the hunters press on, Hyun passes a note to his friend and warns that the dungeon is a maze where escape will be no easy task. Hyun-woo glances at a map dotted with various marks, tosses it aside, and leaves his friend completely puzzled. Our hero walks up to the giant tree and tells Park to take a picture, then he steps right up and throws a huge punch that clears the way instantly, leaving Park and Hyun stunned as the path reveals the twin-headed ogre boss while Park stares in disbelief at the one-shot destruction. Fueled by excitement over Hyun-woo's amazing power, he follows behind him. Hyun-woo sprints at the giant ogre, leaps onto its shoulder, and punches it in the face so hard that the monster crashes to the ground in a single blow. Our hero stands victorious atop the fallen dungeon boss while Park films his tearful excitement over the viral video, yet the Shin-chan gang keeps watching from the shadows, and at the Aries Guild office, they visit Chun-myung to report that our hero is terrifyingly strong without even using magic. Shin-chan gang admits our hero's power impressed him, but he quickly spotted a way to take him down. Chun-myung tells his thugs that Hyun-woo is heading to the Aries Guild's dangerous visible swamp, so Shin-chan gang gets ready to wait him out there, while our hero stands outside the entrance feeling uneasy and wondering if he's just imagining things. Right then, Seo-yeon sends a text to warn him about the Aries Guild, but our hero doesn't get it since he simply doesn't care about that guild at all. Seo-yeon nervously asks Hyun-woo why he's heading to the dangerous Aries Guild dungeon, but when she pushes for more details, he admits with a grin that he is indeed going there just to mess with them. Seo-yeon gets upset worrying about her friend, even though she knows there's no reason to be scared. After seeing Hyun-woo's stats and his video of attacking the dungeon, it's clear he can handle himself, but Seo-yeon still warns him to stay away from the Aries Guild and finish his business fast, because she suspects they'll show up on the very day the boss monster wakes up to raid the A-rank visible swamp dungeon. Our hero thanks his friend for the advice and tells him not to worry, but as he steps outside the visible swamp dungeon, he finds himself facing the Aries people again, with a hunter stepping forward to threaten him into never making Aries his enemy. Our protagonist remembers Seo-yeon's warning to stay away, yet he can't escape the thugs who harass him and look down on him until they are beaten, at which point they panic and just shout the guild's name. The hunter's rage boils over as he charges with his sword, but the hero cuts him down with ease and strides right through the doorway. As soon as Hyun-woo walks through the gate, the monster wakes up. He keeps walking deeper into the dungeon while the monster creeps closer. Finally, our hero steps up to fight the dungeon's final challenge, the huge alligator. Our hero thinks back to Seo-yeon's lesson about the alligator's tough, expensive leather and teeth, and a smile spreads across his face. Hyun-woo pounces on the giant alligator to knock him out and tear him apart, but as the beast tries to run, our hero grabs his tail, swings him around like a toy, and smashes him hard into the wall. The giant alligator rages with fury and turns to face our hero once more. As Shin-chan gang watches, the alligator leaps into the air right before our hero is about to strike, only for chains to snap shut around his legs at the last second. With Hyun-woo chained up and Shin Sung-gong ready to die as the alligator snaps its jaws shut, Hyun-woo ducks just in time, sending the snapping reptile crashing into the swamp instead. Our hero stared at the chains in puzzlement until Shin Sung-gong explained that they were magical and the perfect weapon to stop him. Hyun-woo stares at the strange man, completely lost and wondering what just happened. The assassin leaps down to introduce himself and tells our hero that he was sent by the Aries Guild to take him out. Our hero finally realizes that a deadly killer is hunting him. Shin Sung-gong cheered for our hero's amazing strength as he flung the alligator and crushed the ogre, but he couldn't figure out why his enemy looked so calm after getting caught in the magic chain. Hyun-woo is puzzled by the strange chain at first, but then he suddenly can't move at all. Shin Sung-gong says it's a magic chain and our hero needs more magic power than even an A-rank user has to break free, but since he just climbed the tower, he has none at all. Even then, Hyun-woo is still confused and can't spot the danger, while Shin Sung-gong gets frustrated, thinking our hero is just playing tricks on him. He believes that, just like everyone else, Hyun-woo is only putting on a calm face while secretly plotting his next move. Our hero is still baffled because he never did those things, but the assassin pulls out his sword, ready to strike. Right as the sword comes down to strike, our hero lifts his arm to block the blow. Shin Sung-gong unleashes a blast of venom. A boom shakes the air and fills it with a thick cloud of smoke. The assassin believes his job is done until the smoke clears and he freezes, seeing Hyun-woo sitting there completely unharmed. Our hero is in the dark about his opponent's move, leaving the assassin frozen and confused as to why his attack failed. Then our hero springs into action and lands a hard punch right in the assassin's face. Shin Sung-gong gets tossed straight into the tree. Hyunwoo stepped right up and told him he should have wrapped his whole body in chains just to stop him from moving. The assassin couldn't figure out how his opponent was pulling off this trick. Our hero sees Shin Sung-gong is confused and tells him the chains have come loose and are no longer working. He kicks the tree, sending it flying with the assassin still stuck to it. Our hero warns his opponent that if he meant to kill him, he had better be ready to die too. The giant alligator drifts calmly through the swamp until Shin Sung-gong suddenly tumbles right onto its back. Hyunwoo tosses the tree into the swamp to crush the alligator, then stands quietly until a system screen flashes, announcing he has earned a new tier of information, while at the same time, Chung Myung at the Ares Guild Management Department is told his assassin has died. The assistant tells him that the tree trapping Shin Sung-gong has sunk into the swamp, so even though they can't be sure, it's pretty likely he's dead. Chung Myung is convinced the monster must have devoured his assassin. But he also carried 2 S-rank stats and 7 special skills inside his soul. Chung Myung feels annoyed watching his skilled assassin get beaten up easily by our hero. Hyunwoo tossed and turned in his apartment trying to rest, but suddenly he jolted awake when the system screen flashed, telling him he'd been chosen as a temporary guardian. He feels lost and senses something has shifted, yet he can't make sense of the strange things flashing on the screen. Hyunwoo thought he could learn about the tower, but he's still confused about what this system invitation actually means. He checked his watch at 9:30 and saw the invitation had arrived around 2 p.m. Right then, as Hyun steps into the apartment, our hero stops him in his tracks to check out his new power in the info window. After focusing, Hyun's info window shows up, but Hyunwoo sees nothing because his authority is too weak. He yells in frustration at his own useless skill, which baffles Hyun, but our hero quickly snaps back to say he was just talking to himself before glancing at the time on his phone. As the clock ticks toward midnight, our hero realizes the useless skill has actually changed him, giving him hope that the system's invitation will soon lead him to answers about the tower. Then the clock strikes 12 and the room plunges into darkness. Suddenly, Hyunwoo gets whisked away to a strange new place where he spots a girl sitting at his desk who tells him she is his assistant, Eve. Eve steps up to the guardian, says hello, and promises to stick around for as long as he breathes. Hyunwoo's face lights up with joy as he realizes he finally has someone to talk to and can discover the truth about why he's been stuck in the tower for 12 years. The two of them just stare at each other in silence until our hero breaks the quiet by asking his assistant if she's going to explain everything. Eve stands frozen, unsure of exactly what she needs to say. Our hero flies into a rage and shouts that she only invited him here to explain things, but Eve stays calm and says she can only answer him. Our hero freezes in shock when he realizes his assistant is the only one who can answer his question. He then started asking questions, beginning with who locked him inside the tutorial tower. Eve shakes her head and says she can't tell him, since he's at the very bottom of the information chain. She says she can only reply to him if he holds a higher rank in the information tower. Our hero's anger grows as he realizes the truth matches what his information window had warned him about, and when he grumpily asks his assistant who locked him in the tower once he has better info, she shakes her head, telling him she can't say because he's still at the lowest tier. He then asks about the tutorial tower, but Eve shakes her head and refuses to tell him. He asks why the tower was built, but receives the same answer once again. Our hero asks why the monsters appear, but gets the same answer again. After waiting for answers that never came, his frustration boils over and he accidentally bumps Eve on the head. He begins yelling at her for bringing him here for no good reason and then laughs, convinced she's just trying to play a trick on him. Eve refuses to share any secrets because Hyunwoo only knows the bare minimum, and his anger rises, but she suddenly offers him a chance to hear something after all. She explains that he is a guardian, which simply means he is a defender. But that answer wasn't enough for our hero, so he asked if she could give him something even more important. The assistant replies that she can tell him exactly what a guardian has to do from now on. Hyunwoo grows frustrated because she won't share the things he's curious about. But then Eve reveals he's only a temporary guardian, and if he officially takes the role, he'll be forced to learn all the secrets even if he doesn't want to. Our hero wonders how to officially become a guardian, and Eve tells him that in 5 days a giant crack will open nearby where he can find a key to unlock his next level of power. Once our hero grabs that key, they will truly become a guardian. Once the message is sent, Eve boosts Hyunwoo's powers and sends him back to his own world. He stands in his apartment, staring at a message telling him to get a key, so he decides to become an official guardian to get the info he wants, while his friends are shocked to hear about the huge crack in the ground. They stare at each other awkwardly and ask him why he's suddenly bringing this up. Hyunwoo stood frozen in confusion by everyone's shocked faces until Hyun stepped in to warn them that a crevasse meant a massive disaster was coming. At the Ares Guild headquarters, Hyuk Sung-woo roars in rage over his top hunter's defeat by Hyunwoo, while Chung Myung stands in silent shame. Sung-woo tells him he isn't angry and orders you to gather everyone and crush our hero if you can find a way. He hands you some money and tells you to find stronger mercenaries than the ones he sent before. Hyuk Sung-woo leaves no doubt for his HR manager about exactly what he needs. You got the orders, so Sung-woo turns his attention to the Tyrant Guild next. The Tyrant Guild is still smashing up the Ares members inside a different building. As Sung-woo's frustration grows because everything is going wrong, our hero's eyes sparkle with joy at the sight of the $2 billion ring, which Won-hyung says is a common find in the labyrinth. Hyunwoo is baffled by the difference between a labyrinth and a dungeon, so his friends tell him that artifacts belong in labyrinths and that the ring is one too. As you slay monsters in dungeons to find spirit stones, you'll discover that the labyrinth's treasure trove holds special artifacts instead, and Won-hyung tells his friend that the ring he found is actually enchanted. Our hero is blown away by the game-like magic he finds, realizing these objects are way better than normal gear. He watches the ring as a screen appears with details, revealing that his special skill can read the item's description, so he tries it and sees the full text blocked in red because his authority level is too low. Our hero grumbles at that useless skill, but he still heads to the labyrinth after his main job, returns the ring to Won-hyung with the price settled, and then gets back to looking at the menu. Our hero reads the menu and makes the bold choice to order everything on it. His friends are stunned that he can't possibly eat it all, so Won-hyung tells him to just order whatever he wants. As Hyunwoo asks his friend what a crevasse is, shocking everyone, he learns that while they eat, the ground could suddenly crack open and unleash countless monsters. Seo-yun says that places like China and Germany hit a scary crack they called the Hell Gate. Hyunwoo was surprised that Eve spoke so casually about it, and now he's wondering what would happen if something like that happened in Korea. The whole group falls silent in deep thought as Hyun reveals that while they can stop it, even the weakest C-rank crevasse will wipe out everything in that area. Everyone knows their own guilds and a few others will lend a hand, but the Ares Guild will only send out weaklings to put on a show of helping. Our hero told his friends to eat big and chill out for 4 days. When they ask what he means, he just says they'll find out soon. While at the airport, people feel the ground shaking. Thinking it was an earthquake, everyone runs for cover just as the ground splits open, while a robed man approaches his master to say the 9th floor has woken up. The master asks after our hero, and the man replies that he hasn't awakened yet, but not for long, and soon our hero will earn a proper title, which the master thinks is perfect timing and can't wait to see what he can do. At Gimpo International Airport, the ground begins to shake so hard that everyone runs in a panic. Flames are racing through the neighborhood, and the news is already telling everyone living within 5 miles to run away now. The airport is locked down because of an emergency, and the association's hunters keep arriving to help. Countless monsters keep climbing up the crevasse, and things are getting much worse. With the airport locked down, the hunters step up to face the monster. The new recruits shake with fear as huge monsters surround them, but their leader shouts for courage or they will die, so he leaps in with a shield to guard them and slashes the beast apart with his sword while the rookie hesitates and the leader yells to just focus on fighting. The hunters face the monsters and curse at the endless swarm as their leader chops through them, knowing more will keep pouring into the airport until they must act. Just as the hunters turn around, they freeze in shock to see a giant skeleton standing there. The hunters began to shake with terror when they saw the A+ rank monster. Knowing they are about to die, they stop fighting. The skeleton lifts up his huge stick. The fighter holds up his shield, but the skeleton smashes into it, sends the hunter flying into a car, and then the giant skeleton walks right up to the injured man. The leader yells at his soldier to wake up, but the soldier stays silent, then the hero leaps through the smashed skeleton's head and lands right in the crowd. The hunters stand stunned, staring at his clothes until they realize he is the legendary player, Kim Hyunwoo. The hero got a warning that he must find a hidden key deep inside the Gimpo Airport crevasse to prove himself before the timer hits 0 in just 22 minutes and 32 seconds, so he dives into the airport to start his search. As the crowd stands frozen in shock watching the hero smash the skeleton in one mighty blow, he quickly turns around and warns them about the monster hiding behind them. Because there are so many monsters, he steps in fast to help a bit until the backup arrives, effortlessly grabbing the giant hammer the skeleton left behind and hurling it to crush them down. The people nearby are blown away by his incredible power. They cheer with fresh hope, knowing their skilled ally has bought them just enough time to wait for reinforcements. To their shock, the hero sprints away in a rush, leaving them to watch in disbelief as he vanishes, forcing them to throw everything they have just to stay one step behind. One of them looks on in helpless confusion, wondering why Hyun-woo did that. Things are fading away since the endless parade of monsters has left everyone exhausted. It's been too long since they battled monsters they can barely control, and the terror of losing the people inside fuels them as they fight to hold on until help arrives. Just then, Kim Soo-hyun from the Seoul Guild and his teammates stepped in to slice the monster apart. A moment later, Lee Seo-yeon and her Urung Guild arrive, bringing hope back with the sudden appearance of Han Seo-kwon from the Goguryeo Guild and his allies. As the hero rushes into the core, Seo-yeon watches in awe while Seo-kwon shouts orders that send his mighty warriors soaring into the sky to crush the attacking monsters. Soo-hyun slashes through the monsters while Seo-yeon zaps them with lightning, and everyone fights their hardest to defeat the devils, all while the hero finally clears a path to the crevasse core. There's a deep cave where he decides to go first, only to find a hidden path for the monsters to reach him on the ground, so he grabs the door off a nearby stuck car to use as a shield and weapon, leaps down to smash through the monsters, and lands safely at a pile of the dead ones he left behind. Before long, a huge red monster steps out of the shadows wearing a key on him. Hyun-woo realizes that's the secret he needs to grab, so he rushes forward with confidence only to get smacked right in the face. Shocked and trying to figure out what happened, he gets hit hard again, but the hero barely dodges, slams the attacker to the ground, and watches as the monster charges forward again, shouting curses in its own language. He steps in to catch both of the hero's punches and then shoves him flying backward. The hero quickly realizes this beast is far stronger and wilder than any monster he has faced before. The hero decides to bring back his dusty martial arts skills, even though he's been away from them for a long time and really didn't want to fight again. Hyun-woo lies helpless in the tutorial tower, replaying memories of the enlightenment that will free him. He ran straight into the monsters, doing his absolute best to fight them. He began his martial arts journey the way you see in movies and novels, where the hero believes the only thing that matters is becoming the greatest master and finding enlightenment. At first, he tried out every silly move he knew, but they all failed until he accidentally used a useless trick so many times that his hard work finally made it real. He refused to dwell on his dark past and unleashed his instant killing punch, striking the giant red monster with full force to send it crashing to the ground. Hyun-woo feels relieved that no one is around to hear him shout out the names of his moves, since he's really embarrassed by that habit. The system confirms he has slain the Crimson Demon Archer and updated his status, officially inviting him to join as a guardian with just one day to decide, but as he thinks about it, a drone hovering above begins streaming the battle live, while the Ares Guild members watch the feed and the branch manager shouts that the hero clearly doesn't look like an A-rank fighter, a fact that becomes even more obvious as everyone watches the replay. The manager insists he's just a useless guy with no magic who always wears his silly tracksuit. He tells manager Yu to hand over all the gathered data the moment it's ready. The next morning, the Korean Hunter Association held a special award ceremony to honor the brave hunters who fought the monsters at the crevasse. The hero stands tall and confident even as everyone mocks his bad attitude. The host hands the trophy to Hunter Kim Hyun-woo, teases him about his tracksuit by reminding him of the offer to buy him new clothes, and the protagonist just calmly tells him not to worry about it. Everyone pokes fun at his overconfidence, leaving the host on edge and ready to snap. Seconds later, Hyun-woo runs with his special gifts, making the villains even angrier as a mysterious girl with a skull tattoo on her back watches him fight near the top of the Tyrant Guild's castle in Beijing. Her eyes went wide when she saw him strike that pose, so she turned to her assistant and asked for his name. The assistant shares his name, prompting the girl to dig up everything about him, while another man tells her that the Weon Guild has conquered most of South's dungeons but now faces a kidnapping crisis, likely blamed on the rival Ares Guild, leading the girl to demand they speed up their takeover because she can't stand seeing them struggle so hard over just a minor dungeon. Soon, Hyun-woo's friends burst in to tell him that he's become a local hero. He sees the awful news headlines and complains that reporters haven't changed in 12 years, while his friends insist they should have, especially since he left after getting his reward in a stupid tracksuit. Before long, the hero says he has a meeting to keep and quietly slips away. Seo-yeon worries that he made too many enemies, but his assistant Eve insists he is too strong to be hurt while they chat about his recent trouble with Ares before he suddenly vanishes from the tower, only to reappear instantly somewhere else with Eve sitting ready to greet him. Hyun-woo's rage boils over when the girl tells him his power jumped from the lowest tier to low, even though she only shared the facts she was taught. The gray-haired girl soothes him and tells him that now that he is officially a guardian, all he needs to do is finish his job to get whatever he wants. He was chosen to keep the climbers from reaching the tower. The hero thought this tower was just the tutorial, but she says it's actually different because it has 12 floors that even include Earth. He must keep the 9th floor safe from the Earth on the 12th. The hero looks at his life in confusion, weeping because the endless work has finally worn him down. AV urges him to guard his home from destruction, but he yells at her for forcing the outcome. She shakes her head to calm him down, clarifying her words by saying she never told him to shut up. Hyunwoo turned pale as he gazed at the sky, asking her what she wanted before telling her to speak clearly. AV looks down, feeling the weight of her power as the 9th floor's administrator, knowing she's built to be tough enough to make her voice heard. She nervously shouts his name and gets flustered when he repeats hers, so she tries to calm his anger by reminding him he was chosen as a guardian to protect him, even offering to bribe him with rewards for every climber he stops counting toward his own glory. Hyunwoo looks at her and asks plainly how much power he has to find out who locked him in the tower after he built it. AV says he'd need to reach a top-tier authority to get info like that. Hyunwoo asks if killing more climbers will boost his tier, and after AV nods yes, he wants to know exactly how many he needs to kill. AV hesitated, saying that since even climbers have ranks, he'd need about 5 top-tier ones to gather enough power to access the high-level authority. Hyunwoo needs to know more, like just what rank that Crimson Demon Archer he killed actually held. AV admitted he was just a low-level climber. Hyunwoo gives a rough nod, showing he gets it. Hyunwoo sat in his house, dismissing the idea that the Earth was a tower or that saving it mattered, and decided to stop wasting his mind on such confusion. Instead, he would focus on everything to find out who locked him in, even if it meant crushing those climbers just to get the truth. Suddenly, a call from Seo-yeon cuts him off. She nervously urged him to turn on the TV. When Hyunwoo flipped on his TV, he saw his name everywhere in the news, telling everyone that public opinion had changed because the hero who helped during the crevasse crisis had just killed a member of the Ares Guild. Hyunwoo chuckles at the news and asks what this new drama is all about. Hyunwoo was lying in his house in the Mokdong neighborhood when his phone started ringing non-stop. Seo-yeon screamed in disbelief, demanding to know who could have caused all this, and she only called Hyunwoo a celebrity because he finally emerged from the tower after 12 long years. She told how he had just cleared the crevasse alone days ago, drawing the attention of every nation, yet now he faced murder charges, and she admitted she was too nervous to sleep after he shared his troubles with Ares. Hyunwoo rolled his eyes and told her to chill and not worry, but that just made Seo-yeon even more annoyed and she snapped back at him to stop telling her not to worry. Hyunwoo felt like he was being scolded by a wife, which was strange since he'd never had a girlfriend, so he turned to Seo-yeon and told her she must have a crush on him and should just be honest about it. After hearing that, Seo-yeon took a slow breath, smiled in a scary way, and promised to fry him with lightning if he ever made another joke like that. He gave an awkward laugh to ease the tension, hoping to change the subject before he said something even worse. Sehun stood up and pointed out all the missed calls from the Hunter Association, admitting that seeing so many was something he had never experienced before. Then he pointed to the scoreboard, revealing that Hyunwoo had taken first place once more. Sehun's eyes turned red with rage as he read about how Kim Hyunwoo and his 3 guild leaders all had the same deadly, murderous nature. Hyunwoo tried to stop Sehun from making scary faces at him, but Sehun just said that Hyunwoo didn't seem to care at all while their reputations were being destroyed. Hyunwoo shocked Seo-yeon and Sehun by asking if they had set up the reporters for him, while they nervously questioned whether he was even ready. Hyunwoo chuckled, clearly finding it funny that they thought he'd show up at the press conference without any prep. Seo-yeon told him to stop his fists from hurting the reporters and to stop him from wiping out the Ares Guild. Hyunwoo looked at them and asked if that was truly how they saw him. Meanwhile, the boss of the Ares Guild asked Kim Hyunwoo what was going on. The HR manager told him that Hyunwoo was everywhere on the news and online, and with public opinion turned against him, he was in deep trouble. The guild leader realized that Kim Hyunwoo had done something he never thought possible, which turned into a powerful weapon against him. At the press conference in Mokdong, Hyunwoo sat with confidence as reporters crowded him with questions about the recent news and his attack on the Ares Guild member. Hyunwoo took a deep breath, told the room this was his first press conference and he'd just do what felt right, then pointed to a reporter and said, "Go ahead and ask the first question." The reporter asked Hyunwoo how he was feeling, and he just said he felt like crap. When a reporter bluntly asked if he had really killed the Ares member, he simply nodded and told them to listen to the recording before passing judgment on him. He said he didn't know why all of this happened, but he remembered turning down Ares Guild's offer to join them. He pressed play on the recording, and the voice of the dead man confessed that he was an assassin sent by the Ares Guild to kill him. After the brutal battle, Hyunwoo cut the recording right before the incident, leaving the reporter stunned, then calmly told them they'd been tipped off by the Ares Guild because he had gone to slay the boss monster and they had just followed him. One reporter claimed he faked the recording, but Hyunwoo reached into his pocket and pulled out another phone, proving it belonged to the man he'd killed in the swamp. He explained that since the box was locked, only a security firm or the police could help reveal the truth, and with an assassin already there to kill him, the only choice for this new survivor who had just left the tower was to defend himself. But the assassin sent to kill him ended up fighting the dungeon's boss monster, a huge alligator, and died, while reporters screamed and wrongly blamed him for the murder he just confessed to. Hyunwoo calmly explained that his guard had slipped during their fight, leading to his death, and admitted that while respecting the Ares Guild's reputation kept his silence, he never expected things to spiral this far out of control as the press conference wound down, leaving him wondering just how tangled the situation had become. Then he read the new news articles full of lies about Ares, and the guild leader, furious from the press conference, threw his things down while cursing Hyunwoo. Then he burst into laughter, calling him a fool who didn't know how the world worked, and swearing to himself that he'd get to him no matter what. In the end, the friends trailed behind Hyunwoo while Si-hoon wondered how he guessed the plan was to record him, since it looked like he already knew what was coming. Seo-yeon said how Hyunwoo pulling out the dead assassin's phone instantly made all her worries feel like they were gone. Hyunwoo smiled and admitted he had been lying about finding the assassin's cell phone. They all looked at him, wondering why he had lied to the press. He pulled out the phone and showed it to them, explaining that it wasn't the assassin's but belonged to Si-hoon, who changed his phone often, and that he had been recording their advice because they warned him about Ares, not knowing it would one day be so helpful. Seo-yeon couldn't stop worrying and asked what would happen if they really asked for the phone. Hyunwoo soothed her by explaining that Ares was already sending security to check the place, so he just had to make sure they knew better than to mess with him again. Seo-yeon giggled, noting that Hyunwoo looked surprisingly cool in his worry, while he pondered Ares's next move, knowing that the mighty American guild with its global dungeons and powerful Korean branch could not afford to get dragged into this mess. Later that night, Hyunwoo asked Si-hoon to go home so he could walk by himself. Si-hoon was sure he could handle life on his own and loved exploring his own path. In just a few minutes, Hyunwoo found himself surrounded by cloaked members of the Ares Guild, and he simply told them he had been waiting. The masked man told him to follow them. Hyunwoo guessed that Ares's bosses were hunting him down and asked what would happen if he refused, only to hear that the masked man would just drag him out. Hyunwoo grinned, which made them all angry enough to start hitting him one after another. He just stood there smiling as the masked men's attacks bounced off him, leaving them confused and trapped around Hyunwoo even as they scrambled to find a way to hurt him. Hyunwoo shook his head, landing sharp, controlled hits on each opponent until the final one started begging him to stop and let him live. Hyunwoo nodded to save the man's life but told him to lead him to whoever was looking for him. Out beyond Gwangju, two masked guards chatted inside their underground bunker, with one complaining that their guild wasted money on such a shelter while the other sharply reminded him that without this safe haven, the hunters who kill murderers would be dead. Their chat shifted to Hyunwoo, another partner who was making waves, and the first man laughed, saying he'd seen Hyunwoo's face everywhere in the news and joked that they didn't need any more trouble from him than just dragging him there to give him a good beating. The man next to him added that they'd likely get to try out the new torture devices on him. A loud crash broke them up, and Hyunwoo stood still, dragging the beaten masked men to ask if this was the right place. After the leader finally cut through the chaos outside the bunker to demand Hyunwoo's attention, the masked men immediately lined up at the elevator and raised their shields high. Hyunwoo strolled in without a care, curious about the building and how much this whole operation would cost them. The man in the suit stepped up and asked who was there and why. Hyunwoo smirked and told them he was the Grim Reaper sent to bring them to the afterlife. In a dark cell, a pink-haired girl sat bruised and beaten while men surrounded her. The Ares leader told her to think about her life and speak up since Pato had left her, but when he pressed for secrets, she just smiled, so he ordered her beaten again, and though one man suggested killing her on the spot, the leader coldly shrugged and said it didn't matter. Suddenly, the door slammed open and Hyunwoo rushed in. He scanned the room to find who had called him over, then turned his gaze to the girl who was tied up. He wore a sad face as he shouted, blaming them for ignoring him while they were busy with other guests. The leader asked about the team. Hyunwoo calmly told the guy that his friends were napping in the back just like the men inside, then handed him a simple choice: talk to him or get beaten into a pulp. The Ares leader burst out of the bunker, stared at the men lying on the ground, and started to panic. Just as another masked man tried to sneak up on Hyunwoo, he caught him and sent him flying with a powerful kick. The man groaned in pain while the leader kept looking around. Hyunwoo pointed out that he only came because he was invited and grew angry at everyone's hostility, while the leader watched him thinking these were just B-grade men, knowing the hunters sent to capture him were becoming A-grade and the guards were already A-class, so when Hyunwoo said he cleared the rift alone, the leader assumed it was just beginner's luck against a weak boss. In truth, Hyunwoo was an S-grade hunter, and even better, one of the strongest among them. He began doing the math on whether his mid-level gear could win a fight against his rival, but Hyunwoo cut him off and told him to pick one of the two choices right now. The leader suddenly remembered his duty, rushed toward Hyunwoo while shouting curses, but paused to take a deep breath, calmed down, and decided to talk things out instead. They sat across a round table, where the leader carefully weighed the need to learn more about the other guilds and decide that, until he knew exactly what Hyunwoo could do, they had to play it safe. Hyunwoo blinked at him, insisting he pay up, while the leader stared back in complete shock. Hyunwoo insisted on being paid back for every bit of trouble the Ares Guild caused, pointing out how they sent an assassin to kill him and how the news reporters used his name to scare people while spreading lies about his death. Hyunwoo promised he would never let these events slip from his mind. The leader demanded Hyunwoo's answer, and with a grin, Hyunwoo asked for 10 million won plus a few of their lower dungeons. The leader silently cursed him while figuring out that he could only afford 10 million won, but seeing the guy ask for 2 dungeons made the leader realize he was trying to steal their home and take the newer hunters for himself. Hyunwoo threw in another 5,000 won just because the leader took too long to react. The leader softened his tone and offered a better deal, claiming that joining their guild would satisfy every one of Hyunwoo's needs and that it was foolish to turn a powerful ally into an enemy, but Hyunwoo just laughed at the excuse, pointed out their hypocrisy with the tied-up pink-haired girl, and made it clear he didn't care about their offer, which made the leader grind his teeth in a mix of frustration and respect for his boldness. Hyunwoo stood up and gave the leader just 10 seconds to accept the offer or face death right then. When Shurhyun heard the door click shut, thinking Hyunwoo had finally returned, he looked up from his phone to find Hyunwoo carrying a pink-haired girl on his back, which startled him so much he immediately asked what was going on. Cheonmuin looks around and realizes he's on the 9th floor, while the scene cuts to Hyunwoo standing right next to Shurhyun. Before them stood a woman lying unconscious, while Hyunwoo had just walked away with a massive reward of $11 million, the rights to 4 level D dungeons, and her as his own. Shurhyun marvels at how the hero took everything from the greedy and power-hungry Hyuxianwoo, and our calm narrator explains that Seonwoo had no other choice but to take it all if he wanted to stay alive. Still curious, Shurhyun looks at the unconscious woman and asks why Hyun brought her, so Hyunwoo explains she's a hostage and he needs to confirm something personal with her. After hearing this, Shurhyun thinks the reason is odd but decides not to ask any more. After a brief pause, Shurhyun recalls that the dungeon bosses are due to respawn today, so he steps up to take them on, promising the hero he'll get it done while the hero wishes him safe travels. Alone, Hyun's gaze drifts to the tattoo on the woman's skin. The pattern looks so much like the mask he once carved, with its words about emptiness and giving up on himself, that the hero feels unsettled and wonders if it's just a coincidence. He taps on her info tab and finds out her name is Hong Lin, a young girl who's been poisoned and is now resting. He can't shake the strange feeling that something is connecting him to something else, even though nothing else seems important. He chooses to wait for her to wake up before looking for the answers. Hyunwoo freezes as a system alert flashes, warning that a new climber has begun their ascent on the 9th floor. Before he can even blink, a new message pops up, asking him to become a guardian and warning that he'll be whisked away in 5 seconds. Before long, our hero arrives just as Ave calls out urgently for him. After that, Eve tells him that someone very important is on the way, the next climber. Our guy tries to figure out who they are and when they're coming, but Eve can't say any more because Hyun's security rank is too low. Frustrated by the endless alarms and no answers, Hyunwoo snaps and attacks Ave, but Eve insists she hasn't been hiding anything and only called the hero to warn him about something much worse coming. She explains that this new threat will be far stronger than anyone he's ever faced, so he must prepare now and awaken his magic skills immediately or risk serious danger. Our guy wonders if the climber is a powerful one, but Eve shakes her head, warning that if such a being appeared, it would bring total destruction. Even so, she warns that without magic, Hyun would struggle against even middle-rank climbers, and when he asks where the next threat will appear, Eve hesitates to say, explaining that a climber's form depends entirely on their strength and achievements. Frustrated by the answers, Hyunwoo snaps in irritation, admitting he knows almost nothing and must just face whatever comes next. Filled with rage, he lashes out at Ave, who protests against hitting someone weaker and questions his parenting, but her anger quickly turns to guilt when he reveals his parents died in a car accident when he was young, causing Eve to immediately apologize and feel ashamed, only for Hyunwoo to brush it off as nothing to worry about. Eve watches him and starts to think that maybe, despite his angry temper, he isn't really a bad guy after all. Inside the Arung Guild's villa in Gwangjingu, Kim Hyunwoo shouts in frustration while sitting in a glowing magic circle that refuses to work, making him think it's a scam, which causes Hanaran to panic and warn him not to break it because it cost 5 trillion won. He pauses, still doubting himself as a magicless man, but the mage Naren insists it's nearly impossible and admits she's never seen anyone fail to tap their energy even after her help in countless tries. Right in the middle, Shurhyun walks in and sees the heavy mood, realizing the hero still hasn't awakened his mana after 4 days, which makes the hero think Shurhyun is just mocking him, but Shurhyun says he's only there to drop a letter sent in Hyunwoo's name. As he passes the envelope, he casually mentions it's from the Korean Hunter Association's Guild Formation Council and asks if he started his own guild, leaving Hanaran surprised to learn Kim Hyunwoo has already done so. After she excitedly asks when this happened, he explains that after gaining a dungeon, he decided to experiment with new ideas and proudly shares his guild name, Guardian, which means protector, only for Hanaran and Shurhyun to exchange looks and admit the name doesn't quite match his personality. Trying to change the subject, our guy asks about the unconscious girl he brought back, and Shurhyun replies that she's still out but not in any danger. After hearing this, the protagonist feared the worst, but Shurhyun soothed his nerves by saying the nurse explained it was just shock. After days of sitting in the mana circle, Hyunwoo's frustration boils over as he complains that nothing has changed, so Hanaran suggests they find someone who can help release his trapped energy. After this, Shurhyun realizes Nakaga and Yasumi are from Japan, so the confused hero asks what mana venting is, and Naren explains that the Azanami Guild Master in Japan has a special power called mana venting, which acts like magical acupuncture to fix the energy flow inside hunters who struggle to use their power, helping them grow stronger and move up in rank. Hearing this, Hyunwoo feels a spark of hope and finally sees a way to unlock the power he has been struggling to awaken. But the hero feels annoyed when Hanaran suggests traveling to Japan to meet the person who can help him unlock mana. He groans that traveling feels like too much work and that he's just too lazy to fly all that way. Right then and there, in the middle of Tokyo's Sujinami district, a fierce fight was tearing through a dungeon. Guild Master Nakagawa Asumi fights to keep his hunters alive as a fierce enemy attacks, and his team desperately begs him to save them. Right after that, he screams for everyone to scatter as a huge force crashes through the battlefield. In the middle of the chaos, a mysterious stranger steps forward and the hunters freeze in terror, while Nakagawa stares at him in confusion before learning the man has been called the Climber, the Destroyer, and even the Devil. After a short silence, he finally reveals his real name is Kyanma just as a sudden message pops up saying someone has climbed to the 9th floor in Tokyo through a secret passage. After seeing this, Hyunwoo freezes in shock at the mention of a climber and instantly orders Shurhyun to get the car ready, knowing that Japan is already in chaos with reports of deaths, evacuations, and a mysterious man causing destruction in Sujinami. As Hyunwoo rushes out, he feels shaky inside because he hasn't learned to control his mana yet and wonders if it's truly safe to walk into such danger. Shurhyun was driving the car when he suddenly got confused. Our guy claimed he was too lazy to travel to Japan for mana training, and the sudden shift left him totally confused. Hyunwoo brushes it off, saying some other business came up and that he might as well go now, to which Shurhyun asks if Hyunwoo even has a passport. The hero pauses, realizing he doesn't, but with determination, our hero decides that no matter what happens, he has to reach that climber. At the Japan Hunter Association branch, a tense meeting unfolds. The officials were stunned when they saw Nakagawa alive, since everyone had already been told she died fighting Kyanma. Hearing this, she reveals that a powerful artifact kept her alive while the others marvel at Kyanma's terrifying strength, noting that since the world watched Nakagawa die, no hunters dare to help now. Even with a squad of top-tier hunters standing ready, they know the ending will likely stay the same while innocent lives keep slipping away and they watch in helpless frustration. Nakagawa's eyes lock onto something strange on the screen, a face he knows, standing right in the middle of the mess. As Hyunwoo walks into the area, he sees Kyanma right up ahead, but when he tries to use his power, the system blocks it because it won't work on someone climbing. Realizing the fight won't follow normal rules, the hero studies the strange ancient figure before him just as Kyanma suddenly charges forward with a powerful sword swing that leaves Hyunwoo shocked by its incredible speed as he barely dodges. After that, our hero steadies himself and mutters in frustration at the sudden attack. But before he can even think twice, Kyanma moves again. To the naked eye it's just one slash, but our guy feels it's actually dozens of cuts stacked together, ready to tear him apart the second one lands. Even though it's dangerous, Hyunwoo keeps watching Kyanma's moves to find a way in and decides that staying close is his best bet because it will stop Kyanma from swinging freely. Hyunwoo acts on instinct, lunging forward to close the gap. After watching this, Kiyama pauses with a smile at Hyunwoo's bold move inward, wondering who this challenger is since no one else on the earlier floors dared to face him. While back at their safe spot, Nakagawa and Shurhyun keep a close eye on everything. Reports confirm that the crevasse appeared around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Further, Nakagawa explains that the event happened too suddenly,